It's blue skies and sunshine. A stark contrast to the last 48 hours where nearly 2 feet of snow fell in the area. With all that in mind, it's time now to play football, where the Ravens must finish strong to reach the playoffs. With 3 weeks to go in the regular season, every game a must game for Baltimore. And ready for football we are. Ray Lewis. 14 years haven't slowed this guy down. The final 3 weeks of the season, and we welcome you to Baltimore, where the Chicago Bears come to town to take on the 7-6 Baltimore Ravens. And hi again, everybody, alongside the former Super Bowl winning head coach of these Ravens, Brian Billick. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to the NFL on Fox. All right, Brian. 10 wins doesn't guarantee you a spot in the playoffs, but you sure like your chances if you get there. To get there, the Ravens need to win their final 3. How do they make that happen?
Well, they're in great shape for this playoff run, but for the Baltimore Ravens, when you look at them, you really don't see anything dominant about them, but they do a lot of things really, really well. Now, last year, they were the #1 team in the league rushing in terms of rushes. This year, they've gotten away from that. On this playoff run, we're going to see more of it, which means today we're going to get a heavy dose of Ray Rice, their exciting young back that's second in the league in yards from scrimmage.
We saw the Bears last week. If you're Lovie Smith, what are you trying to impart to your team these final 3 games?
Well, they're clearly out of the playoffs, so what they're going to latch on to, guys, let's finish the season well, because that can be a stepping stone to next year. Now, there's 2 things they've got to do. They've got to run the ball better. They're currently last in the NFL in rushing. And Jay Cutler, we've seen the eye-popping throws, but they cannot turn the ball over like he's doing now in terms of a league-leading 22 interceptions.
So after all the snow over the last 48 hours, crystal clear skies. Of course, this game originally was to be played at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, noon Central. But with all the snow and city officials working hand in hand with the National Football League, they pushed it back to this 4:15 start. Well, the Ravens won the toss, chose to defer to the second half. So Danielle Manning standing back for Chicago as this game is underway in Baltimore. Manning fields it on the hop at the 5-yard line, still on his feet, and is spun down at the 17. So that's why Jay Cutler will put it in play. Of course, Cutler, part of a blockbuster trade during the offseason, coming over from Denver, has thrown for better than 3,000 yards, only the 5th Chicago quarterback to ever do that. But the 22 interceptions, a league high. Butler to throw on first down. And the catch is made, and still on his feet, out across the 40 to the 45, all the way to midfield is Earl Bennett, a second-year wide receiver out of Vanderbilt. That's his 47th reception of the season.
We've seen a lot of this type of play out of the Chicago Bears. Jay Cutler trying to get the ball out of his hand very quickly. You can see Bennett on the outside right here. Comes back with that little one-step quick screen. Get the tight end in the tackle. Then just a nice job cutting, getting back to the outside. You always want a guy on a screen pass to get back to the outside away from the oncoming defense.
A 30-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage. And a minimal gain on first down. A 2-yard catch by Devin Aromashadu, who had the big game last weekend in the loss to Green Bay. Matt Forte is closing in on 700 yards rushing this season. Aromashadu, an outstanding game last week. A career-high 8 receptions, 76 yards. Again, Chris Williams has started left tackle. Orlando Pace out with an injured groin. And again, starting on the right tackle position is Kevin Schaefer. Blitz coming. Incomplete, and very close to a 23rd interception thrown this year by Jay Cutler. Defensively for the Ravens, not quite the unit they've been in years past, but still rock solid. Donnell Ellerbe gets the start for the injured Tavares Gooden at linebacker. And again in the secondary, Noed Reed. Reed has been bothered with a hip injury along with an ankle injury. So the Chicago native Zivakowski out of Notre Dame gets a start again at safety. He's had interceptions playing in place of Reed in each of the last 2 weeks. There is the 23rd interception thrown by Cutler. Dominique Foxworth at the 48-yard line. Not the kind of start, again, the Cutler and the Bears were looking for.
Well, when you throw, and we've seen it this whole drive, getting the ball out of your hand quickly, but you've got to be very careful when you look from one side to the other on a quick route. Here they have a slant on the backside. Jay Cutler was not looking to the left side initially, came out of it a little bit blind when he threw the ball, and Dominic Foxworthy stepped right underneath it for now another interception by Jay Cutler.
So now the Ravens get the football. Close to midfield, Flacco up under center, and will throw it on first down, and underthrows. The open receiver to his right, Derek Mason. Flacco, of course, in his second year, started all 16 games as a rookie a season ago and led Baltimore to the AFC Championship game. If you include the playoffs, the Ravens have won 20 of the 32 games that Flacco has started. Very impressive. Tight end Todd Heap in motion. They give it to Ray Rice. And the second-year back out of Rutgers runs for 8. A third and short upcoming for Baltimore. Talk about the Ravens in the backfield, Rice and McClain. McClain, a Pro Bowler a season ago. Demetrius Williams starts in place of the injured Mark Clayton. And again, it's Michael Orr moving over to the left side, replacing the injured Jared Gaylor. And there's Rice. Inside the 20, down to the 14. What a phenomenal year Ray Rice is having for these Ravens.
This is just a counterplay by the Baltimore Ravens, and the Chicago Bears have packed this box with as many people as they can, but a great job of down kick out, and then now Ray Rice in the open field. His size, his speed, his power really jumps out at you when you get a chance to see him play.
Rice will get it again for a gain of 1. Let's send it back to Los Angeles. Game break time. Here's Kurt Menefee.
And a couple of good finishes. Detroit and Arizona tied at 24, but Anquan Bolden scores from 5 yards out with less than 2 minutes to go. The Cardinals win at 31-24. Then in overtime, Tennessee's Rob Barones, good from 46 yards out. They win over the Dolphins 27-24 in OT. Tom.
Of course, that's good news for these Ravens fans with Miami going down. Better news, a touchdown pass to Heap. So after the interception, Baltimore marches down the field and jumps in front on the touchdown pass, 14 yards. Flacco to Heap.
We see this all the time. You flank out a big receiver like Todd Heap to see what is the matchup. Out of college, they called him the golden retriever. You like the size matchup here. He uses his size, moves into the slant. Great read and throw by Joe Flacco. Great opening series for the Baltimore Ravens.
So now the point after by Billy Cundiff. They brought him in about a month ago, and he has been very good. So barely 3 minutes into this one. And it's 7-0 Baltimore. We welcome those of you joining us from early games. Jay Cutler throws his league-high 23rd interception on the first possession, and Baltimore takes advantage with a touchdown.
Joe Flacco, they keep building this box because of the anticipated run. Real solid play fake coming back to his big, talented tight end, Todd Heap, who they flank out to get the matchup they're looking for. We'll expect to see more of this as the game goes on, as Chicago has to account for that dynamic young back, Ray Rice.
Of course, Brian Billick, you were here when the Baltimore Ravens drafted Todd Heap #1 In 2001, he's the Ravens' all-time leader in receptions and receiving touchdowns. He has been an outstanding player.
He has been, and we had Shannon Sharp with us when we drafted him, and it was a great mentor for him. Here you can see now just the interception set up, their drive by the Baltimore Ravens, and then great throw by Flacco. Again, started out running the ball. Ray Rice cranking off a big run. Chicago building that hard box, allowing Todd Heap on a one-on-one matchup outside. And like a big wide receiver, you'll take that matchup anytime you can get it.
Danielle Manning from the 3. Good return for Manning all the way out to the 39-yard line. Well, it has been quite a weekend here in the Baltimore, Washington area. Flight after flight after flight canceled. Nearly 2 feet of snow. They had 700 workers literally working around the clock. And certainly Roy Summerhoff, the director of stadium operations, along with the 700 others plus, to get this stadium ready, a brilliant job.
I've lived here 11 years. This is the biggest dump of snow I can remember.
So now Cutler and the Bears, second possession. This time they get it trailing by a touchdown. And on first down, Matt Forte out across the 40 up to the 42-yard line. Dropped there by Jared Johnson. You were talking about Johnson before the game. Now in his 7th year of Alabama. A 4th-round pick in 2003. Overshadowed by so many great stars through the years, but a really good player.
I tell you what, you give me 11 Jared Johnsons, I'll beat you in whatever game you want to play. We'll do whatever you ask of him. He drops, he rushes. One of the smartest players I've ever been around.
Forte again on 2nd and 7. Picks up 2. A third down upcoming. Some of the early games around the National Football League. How about that very first one? Atlanta today rallies late on the Tony Gonzalez touchdown reception to beat the Jets. The Jets were in a prime position to get even closer to the playoffs. And a moment ago, Turk told you about that Arizona win in the final 2 minutes at Detroit.
Well, and like you said, Tom, that Miami losing to Tennessee very much affects the playoff race for these Baltimore Ravens.
They run it on 3rd and 4 and will cash in with a first down as Forte crosses midfield and he's to the 49. Of course, a couple of other games played prior to this Sunday. Starting on Thursday night, again, more help for these Ravens when Peyton Manning threw the late touchdown pass, keeping the Colts unbeaten on the year. The other unbeaten roughed up last night at home. Drew Brees sacked 4 times as the Cowboys roll over the New Orleans Saints. Cutler on first down. Catch is made by Johnny Knox, the rookie, at the 35-yard line.
We're seeing a lot of movement by way of the secondary of the Baltimore Ravens. They wanted to give Jay Cutler a lot of different looks, already leading to 1 turnover by Cutler. They want him to have to think a lot and not be certain of what he sees down the field. Good news is that that's going to leave you some one-on-one matchups on the outside. Jay Cutler certainly capable of capitalizing on that.
Forte, good running room inside the 30, down to the 27-yard line. A gain of 8 for Matt Forte. Lovie Smith in his 6th season as head coach of the Bears, and there was a report a couple of days ago that he's going to be back for a 7th year. Regardless of the outcome over these final 3 games, he's won 50 while losing 43. And of course, John Harbaugh replaced Brian Billick here in Baltimore in his 2nd year. Took them to the AFC Championship game a season ago in a heart-stopping loss to the rival Pittsburgh Steelers. Very close to a first down carry for Matt Forte. He may be, well, they got a pretty good spot there. This appears to be good enough for a first down. Why have the Bears not run it as well this season, Coach?
You know, Forte is impressive. He had a great rookie season, better than 1,200 yards on the year. When you watch them play, their offensive line clearly in transition, not as physical as they have been. The thing that jumps out at me is their lack of their ability to get up to that second level with the linebackers. They're not a very athletic line. They've got some good push. They've got definite first down here, but their ability to push the ball up the field and get to that second level. You can see right here, this last place, that is not what a Lovie Smith coach team, that's not his intentions. That will be priority number one with Lovie Smith coming back going into next year.
And a good start for Forte. 5 carries, 21 yards. He'll get it a 6th time, and not much running room here. That head on by Kelly Gregg, who has been the cornerstone of this Ravens defensive line since signing as a free agent 10 years ago. Missed all of last season after that microfracture knee surgery. Came off the great 2007 year and playing very well again.
No one tougher in the league than Kelly Gregg. Wrestles in the offseason. This was an Oklahoma State champion. Wrestles in the offseason to stay in shape.
Extra tight end checks in for Chicago. 8th play of this drive, 2nd and 8 to Forte. And read beautifully by Ladarius Webb, the rookie corner, getting his 4th start.
They're excited about this young player. Watch how quickly he transitions right here. They want to get one of those quick screens. We've already seen 2 of them. And right now he pulls the trigger, dips his shoulder underneath the receiver trying to block out. Good open field tackle. They are extremely excited about this rookie out of Nicholls State.
3rd and 9. They lay it off for the tight end, and Olsen is very close to a first down. Depending on the spot, he might be about a foot short. If he is short, if you're Lovie Smith, are you going on 4th down?
Why not? Why not? You're out of the playoffs. You want to find out about your team. That's the mantra you've been going out all week and saying, we're going to find out about ourselves. We're going to find out who can play. Take this momentum into next year. Absolutely, you go for it.
And they are. 6 of 15 on 4th down this season are the Chicago Bears. He appears to have enough. Needed to get just beyond the 15. And looks to be about a yard inside of that. It is a first down.
Now this, we talked earlier about, they've got to run the ball better. This is a great opportunity to shove the ball into the end zone, running the ball. But you know what? The Ravens know that too. And I think they're going to present Jay Cutler with an opportunity with some one-on-one matchups with maybe a play fake and a shot to the end zone if they choose to take it.
11th play of this drive. Tipped and intercepted by Jared Johnson. Ready today by Cutler. That's of them inside the red zone this season, a league high. So Baltimore leading 7-0. Flacco on the quick slant to Derek Mason. And for Derek Mason, that is his 850th career reception. Only the 16th player in league history to reach 850 catches in a career. And even at 35 years young, Mason very much still playing with a chip on his shoulder. He lasted all the way until the 4th round in that 1997 draft. There were 8 receivers that were chosen ahead of him that year. They give it to Rice, and another huge gain all the way to the 38-yard line.
This is the way they use Ray Rice. They'll motion him out of the backfield. Here they've got him over here in the bunch part of the formation. They've got him all the way over in here. And now they're just going to fake up into the line, bring him back around. with LaRon McClain leading out ahead. Watch him bust through a couple tackles right here. A couple arm tackles. You're not going to arm tackle Ray Rice. He's too powerful. He's too low to the ground.
28-yard carry for Rice. Flacco on first down, and again he finds Derek Mason, and that's a gain of 12 as he's run out of bounds. There's a penalty flag where the tackle was made on the far side. And also a flag in the backfield. So a pair of infractions apparently here.
There were fouls against both teams. Holding, number 64 offense. Personal foul, face mask. Number 33 defense. Penalties offset. Replay first down.
You know, so much is made about everybody getting to their job. And boy, for this officiating crew, it was amazing. Some of the stories, even this morning, some getting in on flights that were able to arrive in Baltimore. For many, going from San Francisco to New York, getting on a train, coming down, getting into Raleigh, Durham, and driving 15 hours to make it to the game. So kudos to this officiating crew.
I talked to Bill Levy before the game. I said, "You're in a foul mood, aren't you? I'm not sure I'd want you to officiate my game."
Well, they didn't like you anyway, did they?
No, they love me.
Offsetting penalties. Flacco on first down. Wide open is Heap. Did he get it? No. Yes, he did. It looked like for a minute the official was waving it off, and then said it is a catch by Heap at the 19.
You're going to see the athleticism of Todd Heap. He's going to cross the field all the way from right here and runs a simple out route. Now again, great hand and control. The key is, did he have control? No challenge, so obviously it holds.
Well, I got to tell you, it was very smart what Baltimore just did. They did not huddle up. They got right to the line of scrimmage.
I think we got a good view of it here. The key is, as we always say, do you have control all the way to the end? No, bobbled a little bit. They did a nice job getting the play off, because I believe on a challenge, that would have been overruled.
See,
nice
to me,
job by the Ravens.
Right, to me, that is a team that is extremely aware of what is going on around them.
With a second-year quarterback,
it's amazing.
Presence of mind to do that.
It was amazing. They did not huddle up knowing there was a chance it could be reviewed. And they got the snap off, which, of course, would not allow that to happen. So you give a lot of credit to Flacco and that Raven offense to get to the line of scrimmage and get the play off.
And when you talk to coaches, the thing that comes up most about Joe Flacco is how cool he is, how calm under pressure. You can coach that, you can try to orchestrate it, but it takes someone under center. Here, Cam Cameron obviously has done a great job with Joe Flacco to get him to understand you need to know what situation you're in.
First and goal. Again, it's Todd Heap, and again, it's a touchdown.
This is two play-action fakes with shots to Todd Heap coming off the end. This is an unbalanced line. Todd Heap is actually lining up at the tackle position. He is eligible. He was uncovered. Hard play fake because they were running the ball so well from that unbalanced extra lineman set that Todd Heap very easily gets in behind the secondary for his second score of the day.
So with 2:20 to play in the first quarter, 2 interceptions cashed in on 2 touchdowns to Todd Heap. Have made those turnovers into 86 points, 14 of those in less than a quarter here today.
And the Ravens had to go the length of the field. You can see there 81 yards to take this turnover in for the score. So it was a double whammy of turning the ball over and then your defense getting gashed for an 80-yard drive.
Very short kick. Rashid Davis fields from the 15 and is dropped to the 27-yard line. So Cutler and the Bears will try it again. Trailing, come back to Baltimore. Chicago trailing with 2:15 to play in the opening quarter, 14-0. Forte on first down, cuts it back to the inside out to the 31. Let's go back to the second interception today thrown by Cutler.
This is what I was talking about. You look at Jared Johnson here, play fake at him, obviously responsibility for holding the edge, recognizes what's going on, and then watch, has the intelligence and the athleticism to jump up, to knock the ball down and get himself an interception, leads to the touchdown. Obviously the play fake we talked about out of the unbalanced set to the corner route to Todd Heap.
Again, it's Forte, and again, it's Jarrett Johnson making a play. All right, as a former play caller, if you're Chicago, you're trailing 14-0, but you're still in the first quarter, nearly 3 full quarters to play in this game. Do you have a tendency to get away from the running game?
You do, and you've got to stay with your original game plan. They've been spreading them out all day, but they do need to run the ball. It's only a 2-score differential, and you've actually moved the ball pretty well.
Aroma Shadu, and that is a first down catch out to the 37-yard line. Aroma Shadu had 2 catches for the year. In his career, he had 9 catches going into last week's game against Green Bay. Hauled in 8 passes, 76 yards, in his first career touchdown.
Well, with Devin Hester down, they've lost that ability to stretch the field, although Johnny Knox can do that. And boy, did he just explode onto the scene last week. We had that Chicago-Green Bay game, had a huge game for them to fill in for the injured Hester.
Good coverage that time by Donnell Ellerbe. And again, let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.
Well, after Ben Roethlisberger hooked up with Mike Wallace for a 60-yard score, Green Bay answers. Greg Jennings taking this one from Aaron Rodgers, 83 yards, big plays, and it's 7-7 in the first quarter, Packers and Steelers. Tom and Brian.
Of course, the Packers have won 5 in a row. The Steelers, unbelievably, have lost 5 in a row. Forte looking for a hole, and Ray Lewis right in the middle of it, along with Haloti Ngata.
Haloti Ngata, you start with him in the middle. When we drafted Haloti Ngata, I remember visiting with Coach Blotti out at Oregon. And the thing that sold me on Ngata was he said, you know what, we just had to take him out because we couldn't practice. We couldn't get a playoff offensively. Wow. We just had to take him off the field.
Well, that's the end of the opening quarter, a quarter dominated by the Ravens, taking advantage of a pair of interceptions, 14-0, and Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages. A pair of possessions, nearly 100 yards of offense for the Bears in the opening quarter, but 2 interceptions leading to 2 Baltimore scores. We open the second quarter on a 3rd down and 6, and Cutler out of the shotgun. Blitz coming. Throws across the middle, and it is a first down reception made by Johnny Knox. He beat Ladarius Webb.
This is a nice job by Cutler. You're going to see Jamal McClain come free. Cutler moving around in the pocket and getting the ball off. Protections have been a problem for him. Now they're going to hurry up, see if they can slow down the activity of this Baltimore Raven defense.
Well, you talked a great deal about this Ravens defense, and of course you won a Super Bowl here in Baltimore. You had 4 trips to the playoffs, one of the great defenses in the history of the game. What about the defense here in 2009?
Well, Coach Greg Mattson is doing a great job. Last year, you can see they were a dominant defense. Now, you can see the numbers on the right here. They're pretty darn good, Tom. He's doing a nice job with his defense. Last year, they were a dominant defense. This year, and part of the 7-6 record, they're very, very good, but maybe not quite as dominant as last year.
Shadu right through the fingertips. So another 3rd down upcoming for Chicago. Well, what a beautiful day it was in Baltimore after all the snow we had in the last 48 hours, with bright sunshine, not a cloud in the sky when this day began, and a lot of the snow already beginning to melt. I mean, it's going to take a long time for all of it to melt. But a great day for football. that's about the only snow you can still find inside the stadium. They left it where the Bears have their tickets for this game. Cutler. Nothing but running room ahead and slides for a first down to the 35.
Again, nice job by Cutler moving around the pocket. The rush all coming upfield. Man coverage down the field, and you love that as a quarterback because if you can get up past that rush, that means the only guy that doesn't have a man on him is me. Nice job converting on a first down. Again, a pretty nice drive by the Chicago Bears.
Yep, 10th play of the drive, spanning 39 yards. And they give it to first down to Matt Forte, and he is thrown to the deck for a gain of a yard.
You know, Matt Forte had a great rookie year. Actually very effective coming out of the backfield, 60-plus receptions last year. Still on that same pace, just hasn't been able to find a rhythm in the running game this year. Chicago in a check mode. They've got to adapt to whatever the Ravens are giving them, run and pass.
Cutler again just steps up and slides for close to another first down right at the 25-yard line.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens now, again, you're just going to see upfield rush. Everybody's upfield. Someone at some point is going to have to stay home, or you're going to have to start pinching the interior of the line in order to account for Jay Cutler. That's two big plays now. He's been able to step up behind the rush and get positive yards.
Forte, good running room, and close to yet another Chicago first down at the 15. Kelly Talabou tripped him up, but not before. A gain of nearly 10. It is a gain of 10.
Now this is where it tests the mentality of the quarterback. You made a mistake down here before. Do you have the mental strength to fight through it? They're going to a no huddle. Again, Chicago does this to try to minimize the multiple packages of the Baltimore Ravens.
Forte looking for a hold. Avoids a couple of tackles, breaks it the other way, cuts it back to the inside. The ball is loose, and Aromashodu able to cover it up inside the 10, down at the 9-yard line.
This is just a great job by Matt Forte. You're going to see him. Forte is going to end up as he comes to the outside. Everything shut off to the strong side. It is completely wadded up here. I guarantee you this play was not designed to get back to the outside. The defense had collapsed to the ball, just what you want, and allowed him to get outside the perimeter of the defense.
Gain of 7, second down and 3. Khalil Bell checks into the backfield for Chicago and gets the first down or very close to it. And depending on the spot of the football, he might be about a half a yard short.
Well, we've already seen from Lovie Smith. He's already gone for it on 1 4th down. If they don't get it here, I would expect much the same, particularly down 2 scores early in this game.
It is third down and inches, and Bell stays in the backfield in the I formation with Jason McKee in front of him. First down inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Greg was there on the tackle, but Bell a first down, and it's first and goal for Chicago.
This is a nice job by Bell. When you try to go horizontal against this very athletic and very fast Raven defense, particularly with Ray Lewis, who's the best there has ever played at this game, moving horizontally and filling to the outside, that's a good job by the young man Bell.
Bell will get it again. Picks up a couple of tough yards. Second and goal.
This is a good series for the Chicago Bears. We talked about them having to step up and learn in these last 3 games. There again, even on the goal line, no huddle, trying to minimize the packages of the Ravens.
Had an eye on Bennett. Step for step with him was Ladarius Webb. 3rd down and goal.
We saw that same throw in the game last week against the Green Bay Packers, Tom. They went no huddle, trying to keep base people on the field, get a matchup one-on-one on the outside, and see if you can make one of those back shoulder throws.
3rd and goal just outside the 1. 18th play of this drive. And Baltimore spends a timeout.
And by the Ford F-150, built Ford tough.
3rd down and goal from just outside the 1 for Chicago. They've run the ball exceptionally well on this 17-play drive. 12 of the 17 running it.
I know they want to pound it in here, but this might be a great place for a play-action fake.
They run it and are denied. All right, you have a chance for points. You're trailing 14-0. I ask you again, Coach Brian Billick, do you go or kick?
You absolutely go for it. You've already said you were going to go for it. You did it before down here, a little bit further out. The ball's darn near touching the goal line. You got to go for it when you're a Chicago Bear team.
All right, give me a play call here then.
Well, you've just shoved it up. They've got to expect one more time. I think you've got to do something, either a play fake and a corner shot like we saw Baltimore do, maybe Jay Cutler with the play fake and getting around the perimeter. I don't know that you're going to be able to shove it up in against this Baltimore Raven team.
Well, they're not going to get it off before the play clock anyway, so Chicago spends a timeout. They're going to talk this over. So 4th and goal upcoming when we return.
Spreading everybody out here. They're going to try to run a quick little trap or they got Greg Olsen up here at the top. Watch for a shot to the big tight end.
You called it. There's that shot. And it's incomplete. I have a hard time understanding that call. And Ray Rice, six carries, already 77 yards. Backed up against their own goal line and it blown dead before it ever got snapped.
False start. Number 23 offense. Half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
That's Willis McGahee, who's just checked into the game.
And if you're going to false start, do it there where it costs you half a foot.
Right.
This is a great place. I used to love Bobby Bowden, the legendary Bobby Bowden's call down here. He used to call backed up offense. Don't get nervous. One of us is about to score. And that was the place they would take a vertical shot. You know, obviously the defense is going to stack up in there to stop the run.
Flacco, the quarterback keeper, picks up a couple of yards.
Well, they spread everybody out here. Jay Cutler gets the ball up quick. A little flat for a fade throw. You need to bring it in over to the top. You had the matchup you wanted with Greg Olsen on Foxworth. And a little mini celebration by Foxworth, and nothing finable. Just, whoop, okay, I'll do it by myself. I'm excited. But kind of a flat throw by Jay Cutler. You needed a little bit more arc. Let a big athlete like Greg Olsen get underneath it and use that size and athleticism. I'd look for a play fake and a shot down the field here.
They hand it to LaRon McClain, and he picks up, well, may have lost half a yard. Looking at the spot, Ogunleye there.
The reason I say that is the Bears have packed the box real heavily, and you saw Derek Mason out there one-on-one. We've already seen a good play-action fake and a deep curl by Derek Mason. Now you've got yourself backed up on the 3-yard line with a 3rd and long call. Protection concerns. Joe Flacco again very much about, I'll convert, but I cannot turn the ball over here.
Ray Rice comes back in for Baltimore. Justin Harper in at wide receiver. And on 3rd down, they just give it to Rice. And right there to meet him, Israel Idonije. So the Ravens will punt from their own end zone with 6:30 to play until halftime.
Well, this is kind of a capitulation by the part of the Ravens that said, you know what, we're just going to run this little draw right here, see if we can get you coming up field, anticipating the pass. Again, now, if you're going to go far in the playoffs, they need to put a little more on Joe Flacco's shoulders to see if he can get them out of there and trust their young quarterback that he's not going to force the ball in and risk a turnover, all but backed up on your 3-yard line.
Well, standing and waiting at midfield is Bennett. And he'll feed it at the 49-yard line with some running room. Inside the 20. All the way down to the 5 and into the end zone is Earl Bennett. A punt return for a touchdown of 47 yards. And just like that, the Bears are one score away from tying this thing up.
Nice explosion by Bennett. When you're kicking out of the shadow of your own goal line, you're trying to get as much air as you can. Coverage gets by him a little bit, and then just some explosion speed, some poor open field tackling. Great job. Now you're going to see, does this give you the emotional lift? I'm going to be very interested in seeing how the Chicago Bears, and right now, a way for John Harbaugh to challenge his team. When you jump up 14-0, now all of a sudden you're going to be faced with the emotional test of holding off these Chicago Bears.
Well, what a huge lift given to the Bears by Bennett. And of course, the only reason he's returning punts is because Devin Hester is out. But in Hester-like fashion, Bennett, the punt return touchdown.
I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to my wife, my children Stephen and Sarah, my mom and dad, Ruben and Melissa, and all of Colorado Springs and Peterson Air Force Base. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Sergeant Art Gilletta, Merry Christmas to you as well. And all of you watching on the American Forces Network today, over 177 countries around the world. God bless you. We thank you for your service and preserving freedom in the United States of America. Darius Webb still on his feet and brings it all the way out to the 42-yard line. So a good return by the rookie Webb. But Bennett, the punt return touchdown to make it a 7-point game. It's all over the NFL. To remember Chris Henry, who tragically passed away earlier this week in Charlotte, North Carolina. A very troubled young man early in his career, but by all accounts, and we were in Cincinnati, Coach, a couple of weeks ago, had begun to turn his life around. And so many were so excited about what they were seeing from the man, Chris Henry. Ravens with the football, leading 14-7, and on first down, a short pickup on the throw to Ray Rice.
Well, Ray Rice leads this team in receptions, and part of the reason the increased completion percentage by Joe Flacco has been that anytime you can dump the ball off to Ray Rice. I don't know that it's a good thing that your running back leads your team in receiving. You probably need more of that presence down the field, but it shows you the 1-2 threat that Ray Rice gives you and why he's second in the league in yards from scrimmage. Second
only to Chris Johnson, who, by the way, had his 9th consecutive 100-yard rushing game earlier today. There's Todd Heap, and he's close to midfield. 3rd down and 3 coming up for Baltimore. Closing in on 4.5 to play until halftime.
Well, Todd Heap has been a big weapon, not as much as in years past, but he has increasingly been more of a weapon for Joe Flacco. And Todd Heap here, this has been the trouble for Todd Heap, is he's had a series of injuries over his career, and it's been tough staying on the field on a regular basis.
He injured his ankle, had to leave the game against Detroit last week. 3rd down and 2. Flacco out of the shotgun. Crossing route catch made down to the 40-yard line by Demetrius Williams. Just his 4th catch of the year, and 2 of those came last week against the Lions.
The Baltimore Ravens are desperately in need of a big play, number 1 go-to guy at wide receiver. Here they're breaking out very quickly into their version of the Wildcat.
Bringing in Troy Smith, the backup quarterback with Flacco. Flacco flanked to the far side of the field. Smith, the former Heisman Trophy winner out of Ohio State, with a nice carry. A gain of 9 for Smith, who had a rushing touchdown in that rout over the Lions last Sunday.
And it's a very effective changeup for him. Here you see in kind of a semi-pistol, anytime you in gun you have someone behind you, little quick play fake, reading the option. And again, Troy Smith was not necessarily an option or open field spread guy at Ohio State, using it effectively here.
They keep Smith in the game. And Chicago doesn't like what it saw on the defensive side and spends a timeout. The 3:08 to play until halftime. Center after Chicago was confused defensively with Troy Smith in the game. Play fake. Flacco throws to the far side. A wide open receiver is Derek Mason, and that's a first down to the 17. He faked it to the back. He faked the end around to Williams and hooks up with Mason.
We've seen this reverse earlier with the Ray Rice. So here, Derek Mason, no, just buy time. Buy time. Let the fake happen. Now late in the route, I've got to beat the guy one-on-one, counting on the fake to pull coverage out from underneath.
Troy Smith right back in there. Flacco this time flanked to the right. Smith breaks a tackle and lunges forward to the 15-yard line. He picks up a couple of yards.
And this can be an effective series or effective combination for Cam Cameron and the Baltimore Ravens. Inside the red zone, we've said it many times, things get compressed. And the ability to run the ball, the quarterback, again, in a running play is basically useless if all he's doing is handing off the ball. You add another weapon when you do this, particularly down in the red zone. Now they're back to a normal formation alignment.
Although they bring in an extra lineman.
Yes, they do. They've been doing that for a little bit here. A little bit extra. Chris Chester, a good athlete, in at the extra tight end position.
Short drop, pump fake. Now to the end zone to Mason. Out of bounds. Good coverage by Charles Tillman. Tillman's been a real good player since being drafted in the second round in 2003 out of Louisiana Lafayette.
All about timing there. Nice job. It's can I get it up and out of my hand quick enough? They're just that half a step late on the throw, not allowing Derek Mason enough time or space on the field to get his second foot down.
Flacco a hit on 8 in a row until that incompletion. 1 second away from a 2-minute warning. It's a third down and 9. Blitz coming. Flacco steps up. Looking around. He'll keep it. And runs out of bounds at the 12-yard line. And that brings us to the 2-minute warning. Ravens trying to add to a 7-point lead offensively, but after Ed Ginn Jr. became the first player in league history earlier this year to run 2 kickoffs back for better than 100 yards in the same game. Joshua Cribbs does the same thing today. And how about Jerome Harrison getting a chance to play, carries for nearly 300 yards in a wild one, Cleveland against Kansas City. A 30-yard field goal try, bad snap, and the kick is wide right.
Well, they felt like they had solved their kicking problems. Field goal kicking has caused them a problem during the course of the season. They brought in Billy Cundiff to solve those problems. Now, this is just a bad high snap. Sam Cook, nice job getting it down on the tee, but a little bit late. The kicking woes have cost the Baltimore Ravens this year, Tom.
It's Matt Catula, who is in his 5th year as a long snapper. But that one got away from him. And he's hearing about it. It's the only time you talk about those guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's...
So now Chicago, 1 timeout remaining. 1:49 to play, and Cutler didn't like what he saw. Great coverage in the secondary. Was under heavy pressure by Jared Johnson and just throws it in the ground.
Well, that was supposed to be a screen, and he saw that was going nowhere. They had that snuffed out. Jared Johnson, again, intelligently saw what was going on. So rather than take the risk, he just dirted it.
to Forte on a second down. He breaks it to the outside and then runs out of bounds, which stops the clock with 1:38 to play and a third down upcoming. This becomes, I'm not going to say a critical down in this game, but an interesting one nonetheless. Should Chicago fail to get a first down, Baltimore has 2 timeouts remaining.
And that's your priorities when you run a 2-minute offense. One, you'd like to score, but number 2 is do not give the ball back to the other team so they can execute their 2-minute offense.
Butler rolling, looking down the field, and then runs out of bounds.
Yeah, at that point, if you know you're not going to get the third down, like a good running back at the end of a game trying to run out the game, stay in bounds. Make the Ravens utilize a timeout and take one of those 2 timeouts off the board. Now they're going to get the ball back with better than 1:20 on the clock and 2 timeouts.
Chris Carr waiting on the Brad Maynard punt. Carr stands at his own 30. Short punt. Carr bobbled it and then is thrown down to the 42-yard line. So with Forte running out of bounds, Cutler running out of bounds, Baltimore gets the football back with 1:21 to play and the 2 timeouts still in their pocket. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, Kurt and Terry will have scores and highlights from around the league. And the Fox Sports ticker has up to the second scores and statistics. Well, you really got to wonder when you see plays like that from Forte and Cutler.
Well, we already talked about Joe Flacco making a heads-up play to save a challenge early in the game.
Short completion to Rice, and he's out to the 47-yard line. Clock down to 1:10, continuing to run.
Their objective here is about 15, 20 yards, probably full 20, to get themselves in field goal position, see if they can salvage the earlier missed field goal.
Blitz coming. Heat, first down catch, steps out of bounds at the 45.
You know, and this is part of the development for Joe Flacco as well. We talk about the Chicago Bears getting something out of these last 3 games. Again, Joe Flacco is only in his 2nd year. This is valuable time for Joe Flacco. A 2-minute offense, working the clock. How many timeouts do I have? What's the priority? Because this will pay dividends as they get into that playoffs.
Ravens coming into play at 7-6. Again, lay it off for Rice, and he will sprint to the sideline and couldn't get out of bounds. Clock will continue to roll. The Ravens say timeout. Charles Tillman able to throw him to the ground before Rice could get to the sideline.
Well, I think Ray Rice is pleading the case for horse collar, but there's a lot of elements to the horse collar. You got to get in behind the pads. You've got to whip your legs around. Here, this is just a good tackle. He didn't whip back under his legs. His hands were outside the back of the pads. That's a legitimate tackle. I've enjoyed watching Ray Rice play, Tom. I tell you what, he's an impactful back. We've already talked about him being 2nd in the league in yards from scrimmage. Both as a receiver, a ball carrier, and his mental attitude. He's got that chip of a little man on his shoulder, and he's not afraid to say, you know what, I'm willing to show you I'm as good as what's anything out there.
2nd down and 11. Flacco again to Rice, and he just bulls forward inside the 40 down to the 37-yard line, and the final timeout of the half is spent by the Ravens. Well, we'd like to remind you, weekdays make lunchtime your new prime time at foxsports.com, bringing you lunch with benefits. You can log on to check out new episodes of original sports shows delivered to your desktop every Monday through Friday at 1 Eastern, including Coach Speak with none other than Coach Brian Billick. Very interesting this week. You have the head of NFL officials, our good friend, Mr. Mike Pereira.
You know what? I figured he fined me for about $75,000 in my 9-year. Mike came into the league heading the officials the same time I became a head coach. So I figured, hey, I mean, you're into me for about 75 grand. The least you can do is come on my show. So he didn't have much to say, but yes.
Mike's good man, and he'll be retiring at the end of this season.
Done a great job.
Yes,
Done a great job in that position.
Third down and a couple of yards. Rice out of the backfield with blockers in front of him. And Rice run out of bounds all the way down at the 8-yard line. There is a penalty flag on the field.
Illegal formation.
Wow.
Number 74 was on the end of the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
That's a heralded rookie, the number 1 pick, Michael Orr, who, of course, is playing left tackle again here today.
I want you to watch this throw. This is an incredibly accurate throw. Now, you're thinking, Coach, this is just a little flare over. Look at him downhill. He's able to catch that and in full stride, not so much as even have to skip or blink. That's one of those little big plays by a quarterback. That's an incredibly accurate throw that gave him an opportunity to make a play like that.
Well, what a block, though, thrown by O'Neal Cousins, playing right tackle on that last play. So third down and 6. Flacco just throws it in the air to Derek Mason. No flag. Well, now a fourth down. You have 19 seconds left. Why wouldn't you go for it here? You're well out of field goal range, and really, what's the point in punting?
Well, but you don't want to give, again, you don't want to give the ball back to the Chicago Bears, because even if it's just to keep them in position for a Hail Mary pass, you got to be about the 50-yard line to take any kind of shot like that.
All right.
Yeah, at least it was a quick game. Maybe it would have been better if the Bears never traveled to Baltimore. Ravens score 24 points off the Bears, 6 turnovers, including 3 more picks for Jay Cutler, make it 25 on the year. 6 of those have come in the red zone. Bears fall to 5-9. Earl Bennett, the only points, 49-yard punt return for a touchdown. Before the game, Jerry Angelo addressed Lovey's status, the Bears' offensive scheme, whether today's game and the final 2 will go into the decision of keeping Lovey. We will dissect those comments a little bit later on in the show. What's up? Welcome to U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. I am Pat Boyle, Mike Sy with 3 former Bears, Mr. GQ Jerry Azuma, our quarterback Jim Miller, and our lead blocker Dan Jiggets. I know this team had a brutal time getting to Baltimore. It began Friday night. It finally ended in the early morning hours today. But another poor performance overall. Has Lovey lost the team, Jiggs?
Well, I don't know if Lovey's lost the team or not. I think that they've lost themselves. When you look at the performance they came out and laid on the ground today, it was just brutal. And again, it starts with the quarterbacking situation and throwing the football away. And people could make as many excuses as they want, but I think if you go back, analyze this one, and go back through time and analyze where the Bears have gone, a lot of it started with the quarterback turning the football over. Today, the Ravens took advantage of it by turning it into points and turning almost every turnover into points.
Jim, has Lovey lost his team?
I'll tell you what, it almost looks that way, because it's almost like the floodgates are open right now for the Bears. We've seen Brian Urlacher make some comments about this football team. Lance Briggs was pretty candid about comments about this team concerning Ron Rivera and what he's doing out there in San Diego. And now you have the general manager, Jerry Angelo, that has made some pretty compelling statements that are going to be in the media over the next week. So Lovey Smith, if he hasn't lost his team, it's going to be tough to keep this team together in the next week with what they're going to be dealing with.
Seems like there's a lot of snowballs being tossed around up there in Dallas Hall. You know what I mean? But there's just this lack of identity. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know who they are. You know, back in the day, they had an identity, and they said, you know what, we're going to be this, and this is what we're going to be. But now they just don't know what they are right now.
Well, you know, I want to make sure that evaluate, and the reason why, you know, I couch my terms, my comments about Lovey, is I want to make sure that evaluation process starts at the top. And that is with Jerry Angelo himself. What have you done in terms of putting a personnel group together that's going to be a successful football team? That goes for you and Bobby DePaul and all the guys in the personnel department. Have you been putting the right kinds of personnel into this thing? And if you haven't, why are they successful in other places when they leave here? Maybe that leads you to the coaching staff.
Jigs,
let's find out.
This week, Jerry Angelo told the Bears website that they do have the core players intact. The core players, he says, are currently on this roster and that they can rebound and get to the playoffs next year. Do you believe, first of all, the core of this team is here right now?
Let me look. They got the core group in here in the newspaper. No, I don't believe so. They got the whole roster in there.
Here's what you're talking about if you lose a football team. Look at the classic case of the Atlanta Falcons today. They were basically knocked out of playoffs last night when Dallas beat New Orleans.
True.
What did they do? They go up to the New York Jets. Their starting quarterback's hurt. Their running back, Michael Turner, is hurt. They're missing 2 offensive linemen. They go in and beat the #1 defense overall in the National Football League. That's what you want your team to do when you're out of it. Guys who love to play football, guys who love to compete. And if what you saw on film today or TV today, if you think that's competing, the answer to Jiggs' question, to your question, would be no.
Die hard. And today they didn't. And one of the other things, you talk about evaluation process and all. Every guy on that team understands what's going on right now. It's no mystery. That's why when Devin Hester had those comments a week or so ago, and some people got upset, that's the reality. Now, if you can't play now, then you can't play.
John Mullen reported earlier this week on CSN Chicago that 2 high-level sources within the Bears organization said Lovie would be back in 2010, citing next year's uncapped year, which we all expect, and the potential lockout in 2011 as reasons they will stay the course with Lovie. We will find out. We'll talk to Moon a little bit later on. And again, we'll dissect Jerry Angelo's comments before today's 31-7 debacle. As always, we want to hear from you. Send us your comments. Some of them will appear at the bottom of our sports ticker. Keep the comments short. Keep them clean. Go to csnchicago.com. Click on the Bears PGL icon. Or if you want to get us with your mobile device, email us at bearspgl@comcastsportsnet.com. Here are just some of the emails already flooding in to CSN Chicago. Ali says, after what we've seen from the Bears the past few weeks, it seems that a complete coaching change may be the only thing that will help change the current losing culture and mindset. Here's another one from Dennis in Davenport, Iowa. I'm 55 years old. Jay Cutler has set a record for interceptions. I'll never live long enough to see broken. And here is our opening kickoff. And for that, as always, we start with Dan Jiggins. Jigs?
Well, I think it's safe to say that the evaluation process has gotten off to a brutal start. We were hoping that we'd see some guys step up maybe and look like they could make a difference for next year. But so far, nothing really to talk about.
What do you have for us, Jim?
Well, I think, I kind of said already, the floodgates have already opened. If you see this team already starting to fracture right now between Brian, between Lance Briggs, statements that have been made, and now Jerry Angelo, see what happens in the next 2 weeks. Because if the Bears lose to the Detroit Lions, we can honestly say this evaluation process has not only started, it will be over. They will make a coaching change.
Yeah, and this team, man, they need ownership. The players out there, they need to own this team. It's their team. And there's just this big lack of execution, like you saw today with the interceptions, the fumbles and things like that, the mishaps. It's just the overall lack of execution. They can't do this.
Last week it was penalties, remember?
Right,
and
13
all the
penalties.
There. The interceptions have continued on this week. Lack of a pass rush today. Mm-hmm. I ask you, the question, are those then things that you can control as a coach, or are those things that you have to rely upon the talent of your team to provide for you? Pass rush is one of them. Did you see a pass rush today against Baltimore?
Not.
And Joe Flacco, not exactly the niftiest guy in the world in terms of running around in the pocket.
And offensively, just 2 first downs in the second half, and Jay Cutler does it again. Another, poor performance. 3 more picks, now leads the league with 25. Another one in the red zone. What would you do to coach him up, Jim, as you take a look at Cutler? I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what to say anymore.
I'm at a loss for words, too, because, again, today, you can't throw into coverage when a guy's covered. Look at the last interception by Dominique Foxworth, or even the first interception. If a guy's in your passing lane, you can't throw the football. It's really that simple. So I don't know what communication is getting done up at Hallis Hall, but Jay has not gotten that memo to just throw it away. And so, it's got to start from ground zero to me for this offense. And it has to be built around Jay Cutler, and they have to have the communication lines open so that he understands how this offense should function. Last case in point about that, look at the 2-minute drive right before the half. How does Jay Cutler and Matt Forte run out of bounds in that situation to stop the clock? That, to me, that's lack of communication from the coaching staff, that these guys don't know how to execute the offense in those crucial situations.
All right, let's take a look at the quarterback comparison between Joe Flacco in his second year in the league and Jay Cutler. Again, 3 interceptions. Wow, look at that quarterback rating, huh? 7.9. Wow.
Almost got that.
I mean, I don't even, I won't even go with I won't even make a Rex comment. Let's go and break down the 3 interceptions. You talked about Foxworth jumping the first route. The second one, they're inside the red zone at the 14-yard line. You've got McKee open there, and, Jarrett Johnson makes a good defensive play, a great defensive play, but shouldn't a franchise quarterback be able to arc that ball and get that to the wide open?
That's potentially,
receiver.
and also getting the separation from the line of scrimmage. If you know it's a play fake and you know that there's an end man on the line of scrimmage that's not going to be blocked, you somewhat abort the fake. It's got to be almost a complete non-fake is what it's got to be. Get depth, set your feet, pop your feet, and deliver the football at whatever angle it needs to be negotiated with the end man who is unblocked. Jared Johnson made a great play, but you go back to the first 2. The first interception, Dominique Foxworth diagnosed it just by the formation. Jay Cutler had run that play before during the year. Same thing. He looks front side, immediately comes backside. Dominique Foxworth was tipped off by the formation, so that was a problem with the play. Then the last one, he's scrambling. The guy's covered. He just can't throw the football.
And sometimes the opportunities missed, too, like the Greg Olsen play in the end zone where, if that ball's lofted maybe with a little bit more of an arc on it, Greg Olsen comes up with a touchdown there, or the backside fade that they tried to throw.
Yeah. I think some of the touch throws, and that can be worked on with Jay. When you look where you're looping it over linebackers and in front of safeties, that can be worked on through drills, things you can do. You line up underneath the goalpost, actually, and you can do drops there, and you got to touch it over the goalpost in order to complete it to a receiver. Those things can be worked on. Jay's talented enough to complete that throw, but you're right, Jiggs, that throw was way too flat.
But this type of thing, but the mechanics have been happening over and over and over again this season. How much emphasis can we put on the quarterback coach for trying to make that change?
I think there's a lot of the things that they're dealing with are very correctable, in my opinion, from his mechanical standpoint. They are very correctable, and we've seen the same mistakes made over and over again. More importantly, the situational play is just brutal by this football team.
Nothing, to me, defines this season more, and we've seen it time and again, than the red zone situation. The Bears go 19 plays, 50 yards. They get it first and goal at the 4-yard line. Bell runs for 3 yards. Then they go second and goal from the 1. Incomplete pass to Bennett on the wide receiver's screen. Then they go 3rd and 1 to Forte. 0 gain, no gain. Then 4th and 1, all right? 4th and 1. They don't have a bread and butter. We've been talking about it all season long. They don't know how to get 1 yard. They throw the fade, which is such a small percentage as far as completing that pass. Yeah. It was bad play call, poor execution, all around. It kind of, to me, showed everything. Bad coaching, bad execution.
Well, if Jay makes a good throw, it could have been a touchdown. But I'm like, that's not you're right. That's not the number one play you want to dial up. Him and Greg Olsen haven't really hit that play all year long. Again, to me, Jay Cutler on the move is your best option. Jiggs and I talked about it in the green room. I don't care if it has to be 2 times in a row. There are movement plays that you can run to take advantage of Jay Cutler's skill set to give your chance give yourself a better opportunity to score, and the Bears do not do that.
We saw him when he tucked the ball today and ran on those occasions when he actually decided not to throw a pick and then actually tuck the ball and run. He's got the skills to run the football.
Guys, he is the second leading carrier on this team, which is a joke in itself. But, roll him out. The only time that we've seen them in 4th and less than 1, the best play is number 6 on the keeper. That's been the best play.
And, the other thing you brought up, Pat, though, on the goal line, if you have an offensive line that's worth its salt, they need a yard, and you got 3 downs to get a yard. If you can't get it, again, you have to start looking for some other guys to block. It's just that simple.
And what was disappointing, too, was they actually got the running game going a little bit, too.
They got it cranked up today.
And they got it cranked up.
14 points behind, my friend, and go, so you still can run the ball, even though you're behind, successfully.
Yeah, they ended up today with Forte, 20 carries, 69 yards. Khalil Bell, 6 carries, 30 yards. Cutler, 4 carries for 23. No Adrian Peterson to speak of. Let's take a look at the turnovers on this day and what the Baltimore Ravens did with them. You had the first 2 picks of the game by Jay Cutler, turning into 2 touchdowns and a heap of trouble for the Bears. Then you had the Knox fumble on the kickoff return. That led to a great Mason touchdown. Lovie Smith is set to address the media. Let's take you to Baltimore live on Comcast Sportsnet.
Disappointing day. Didn't start the way we wanted to, but got ourselves back in position. 14-7 right at the half. Turnovers hurt us throughout the day. On the other side of the ball, we didn't take the ball away from them enough times. That running game got going a little bit, passing game. The game looked like, one team was playing for something and the other one really wasn't. Thought we had a good week of practice, did whatever we needed to do to get here. Thought I would see a better effort from us, better play from us, but we didn't get that. Injury-wise, out of Wale Ogunleye, fractured. It's bone in his lower leg. Besides that, I think we're in pretty good shape injury-wise. When you're in a position like this, with a couple games left to go in the season, you have to really reach down. And for us, as much as anything, we need to finish the season out the right way with a good taste in our mouth. Having our division rival come in helps the case, but unless we, play better ball and turn these things around, you'll have another day like that. Take your question.
At this point, are you concerned about job security?
Am I? I haven't been concerned about my job security every day I've come to work. Same way each day, trying to do the best job I possibly can. If you can do that, you don't think about job security.
Lovie, before the game, Jerry was given an opportunity to express a vote of confidence, and he stopped short of doing that. I mean, how heavily does that weigh on you, though?
Not at all. What's a vote of confidence at this time? I'm sure what Jerry probably said is what I'm saying right now, disappointed in our play, and probably let the season play out. That's the way you do everything. Nothing, you don't talk about things like that during the year except for what's going on the football field. That's enough to talk about what's going on the football field. We're disappointed in our play, disappointed in our record. I'm the head football coach, so I'm sure a lot of people aren't knocking down the door, want to pat me on the back.
What's been Jay's biggest problem this year?
I think you can look at what's been our team's biggest problem. I mean, Jay's been a part of that. We've turned the ball over too many times. We've had opportunities to make plays, and we haven't. When you're not a good football team, there's a lot of things that's gone wrong.
Is there anything you can say to him at this point?
I'm sorry?
Is there anything you can say to him at this point?
Oh, we've been talking all year. It's about action and trying to take care of some of these things.
Lovie, when they got you said you were right in it there at halftime, when they scored on their first possession of the second half, and you turned the ball over on the kickoff. I mean, is that kind of where it unraveled for you guys at that point?
Yes. That's been our season. We've had opportunities so many times, and we haven't. When you could go either way, seemed like we haven't made the plays to get over that hump. That's what happened again today. Yes.
Lovie, the plays in the secondary that aren't being made, looks like the people are in the right spots, but they're just lacking that confidence. They're tentative. What do you see when they're not making those plays?
I don't think it's quite as simple as just, I can't tell you exactly why. We have been in position to make some plays. It's still it's a playmaker's game. You get in situations to make plays. You need to, but as far as why, there's a lot of reasons why. But that's why you're an NFL player. You get paid to make those plays.
Lovie, you said earlier that it looked like one team was playing for something the other wasn't. How disappointing is that to you at this point in the season?
Well, it's disappointing. I think every time you go out, and when I say playing for something, I'm talking about one team is in the playoff hunt, of course, and one not. We're always playing for something. You even if you're not getting paid or whatever, a pickup game, you play to win, and play to your best effort always. So we expect that every time. But just going on the results didn't say that, that we were in that position.
Was your travel situation this weekend have any bearing on that?
No, we're not going to make excuses on that. I mean, we get paid to play. We got here to the stadium and had an opportunity to play the game. None of that mattered.
Lovey, do you fault the effort or just the performance?
No, I don't think I've ever faulted the effort of our guys. I mean, I think we're willing, but you have to just go on the performance and what's being done on the football field. That isn't good enough. It's not like we're having to browbeat our guys to come to work, to do what we're asking them to do, but the performance isn't showing the hard work that we're doing.
Couple more, guys.
Did you get a chance to talk to Wally afterwards?
I'm sorry?
Did you get a chance to talk to Wally?
No, I haven't. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll take Jay in a
No question, the toughest press conference Lovie Smith has had to deal with in his 6 years here in Chicago. Here are just some of the other emails coming in to csnchicago.com. We'll get back to that in a second. Jay Cutler is set to address the media at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Let's listen in to the starting quarterback of the Bears.
What was the most frustrating thing after today?
The whole thing was, 2 early picks. We're moving the ball well. Just couldn't come up with any points. So it was a tough one.
Was also the primary read on the 4th down goal run?
We just kind of wanted to see what kind of looks we could get, but, he was definitely up there.
Is that a high enough percentage pass in that situation?
Yeah, I think so.
On the deflected interception, just explain a little bit of what went wrong.
The ball was deflected, and he caught it. So it was a good play by him.
Jay, I don't know if it's been attributed to you or someone snake bitten has been a word to describe your season. Would you agree with that? Is that coming up?
Oh, you get some breaks, you don't get some breaks. It seems like we haven't got a lot of breaks, but a lot of it falls on myself and the rest of the offense as well.
How do you stay motivated for the next 2 games?
It's hard. There's a lot of character, there's a lot of pride in that room. Today obviously didn't reflect that, but we've got to gear it back up because, we're still getting paid to do this, and the guys in there know that, and, we're going to go out there and fight against Minnesota on Monday.
At some point, do you just want to get the next season started?
hit the reset button or something? That'd be nice, but we can't. We're in the position that we are. And we're responsible for that. I'm responsible for that. So, there's not much we can do. We can keep fighting for these next 2 games. Try to get something out of it. Try to salvage something out of it, and then start preparing for next year.
Are you confident the decision makers, Jerry, on the still feel very good about building this around you?
I hope so. I hope so. I think we've all watched the film in that building. We all understand what's going on, what we need, what we don't need. I think we're heading in the right direction. We're going to get we're going to get it fixed, and hopefully I'm still around when it happens.
Is it difficult when there's speculation about job security for coaches?
Oh, that's how it goes. You're never safe in this league, especially when you're losing ball games or you're not playing to the level that you're expected to. So that's how it goes. That comes with the territory. Everyone in that locker room understands that.
Jay, can you blame any of today on the schedule disruption you guys had?
We got here in plenty of time. Everyone was rested up. Everyone was ready to go. We're professionals. We know that there's going to be some bumps in the road, but it's not like we came in 2 hours before game time. We came in plenty of time last night, so we were ready to roll.
Jay, how concerned are you that things seem to be getting worse than the second half of the season?
It's definitely a concern. But we're still doing some good things on film. We need to build around those and just keep trying to go in the right direction offensively.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Jay Cutler after the 31-7 loss to the Ravens. Cutler on this day goes 10 of 27 for just 94 yards, 3 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 7.9. Ed from Indiana says, what is worse, a team quitting on the coaches or an organizational quitting on its fans? What else? That's pretty much a lot of the things. There's one right here. It's Mary in Plainville. She says, one of the hallmarks of intelligence is learning from your mistakes. This team makes the same mistakes week after week. Whoa. Is it a lack of player intelligence, coaching intelligence, or both?
Well, I think everybody heard that right there. I really want to focus on what Lovie Smith was talking about. Players are paid to make plays. And Jiggs and I both diagnosed, if you don't have the playmakers on your roster, which he basically insinuated in his statements, that, hey, guys are there and they're paid to make those plays and they're not making them. Mm-hmm. So you already have the shot across the bow on the players that the roster's not good enough, and a specific shot towards Jay Cutler. Way too many turnovers. The ball 6 times in a ball game. I know it's not all Jay, but you don't have a chance.
You can't win doing that. Win. You know, it's and you know, even if your defense comes up with 4, and he said the defense didn't come up with enough. Well, even if you come up with 4, you're still down by 2 in that situation. And where do they come to? You worked hard, and we talked about running the ball. You look at that drive that the Bears had at the beginning of the game. I think they ran the ball 7 or 8 times in that drive, got down into the red zone, and then what do? They decide to throw the football, and it gets intercepted. That's the kind of thing that sets you back. They led in time of possession at the break, but it's because they took all that time driving down the field and then giving up the rock in the red zone.
In a league that is, based on parity and on any given Sunday is the mantra, folks, this team is not even close to being playoff caliber. 4 losses by 20 points or more against those 4 teams, all in the playoff hunt right now, or already have secured playoff positions. That tells you. You're 3 scores away from a playoff team. You're not close to them
What did we talk about last week on this very show? We talked about whether or not you're getting better or you're getting worse. You look at the other teams in this division, they're younger teams and they're better football teams. Green Bay, Minnesota, they're better football teams right now. And what have you done to make yourself better? When you look at this roster right now on the Bears, it's hard to see where they've made themselves better than the other teams they're competing against in their division.
You played for Lovie Zoom. You know a lot of guys on this team. You talk to them on a regular basis. As you look at that 53-man roster, do you say to yourself, there's just a bottom line, a lack of talent there?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is some lack of talent there. I mean, and it starts up front with both of the lines. I mean, they just haven't been able to get it going, especially on the offensive line. There's all sorts of holes there with the wide receivers. No one's really stepping up to become that number 1. The secondary is definitely the issue, a big issue as well with your safeties. Who's going to be the nickelback position, because that's been rotated a few times. So there's holes all over this football club, and they have to figure out how to do this. And it's going to be extremely tough because they don't have a first-round pick. They don't have a second-round pick, and they have to go into the free agency to see what's going to be available there. So they have their work cut out for them.
And, Jim, they've got to find the right guy to help Jay Cutler. Now, we can look at some great quarterbacks in the National Football League. Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions one year. Just last year, Brett Favre led the league, and right now was in the MVP discussion until probably Peyton Manning took it on Thursday night. But the bottom line is a lot of great quarterbacks in this league have had horrendous seasons and thrown a lot of interceptions. Are we getting to the point, though, that it may be irreversible if it continues to snowball this way and they don't get the proper person in here to help this guy out, because it looks like it's getting worse week to week?
I agree with that, because, like anything else, you're either getting in good habits or you're getting in bad habits. And we've seen these bad habits continue as the season goes along. So somebody is not there telling him about how these things need to get corrected, at least somebody that he respects. Because, number one, everybody's livelihood depends on Jay Cutler's decisions. And that's why, again, you just heard statements from head coach Lovie Smith. So I got to believe Jerry Angelo, if they were to make changes on the offensive staff alone, it is going to focus on getting somebody to get Jay Cutler right. He's still a young quarterback in his development. He has a lot of good talents, but it is going to be somebody that is going to drive and demand him to get out of those bad habits.
And let's deal with the other reality that sometimes we don't talk a lot about, but it is part and parcel of whether or not there's a coaching change. When you talk about guys like Mike Shanahan, when you talk about guys like Mike Holmgren, Bill Cowher, what's the first thing those guys want to do when they walk in the door? They want to have the ability to set up the personnel, full control. If you're the general manager of a football team and you've got 2 or 3 years left on your contract, and you say, okay, I'm going to hire Bill Cowher, let him come in, do my job, and I'm just going to go over here and sit on a shelf or just get paid and go home. No, it's not going to happen that way. That's that's what's stopping this train from rolling forward, I think.
I mean, when you're asking Jerry Angelo if the talent's on the roster, of course he's going to say this challenge, because is he going to say, no, just fire me right now? I mean, let's be honest. And if you talk to Lovey and pin him down, and we finally saw it today, players got to make plays. It's the first time, and that's why people love playing for this guy, because he doesn't call you out. That's as far as he's going to go until maybe next week or the week after. But that's as far as we've ever seen Lovey go, as far as pointing the finger.
Because I think that for the first time he realized that, you know, his deal's on the line.
Sure.
And how do the guys respond? Okay, I've covered for you guys all of this time. Are you going to respond for me now? And then they go out and lay an egg like that.
We got Kip Lewis. He's live in Baltimore. He'll have player reaction. We've got reporters inside that Bears locker room there. We're going to have the highlights coming your way on the other side, or lowlights as they are. And we're also going to get into the whole Jerry Angelo discussion before the game. We've got all those comments. We've got John Moon Mullen to come on and discuss the story he broke on CSN Chicago earlier in the week, saying that Lovey would be back in 2010. We've got this U.S. Cellular poll question for you. Who do you blame most for the Bears' 5-9 record this season? Is it Jerry? Is it Lovey? Is it Ron Turner? Or is it the players? Log on to csnchicago.com to vote away. Some people argue with that. Maybe Mayor Daley could rip up the runways at O'Hare so the Bears can't return home. Probably would have helped, maybe, so they couldn't have taken off yesterday at 8:15.
At this point, a forfeit would have been nice.
Enough with the Bears. Matt Dahl and I are heading downtown to the Blackhawks game. Yeah, I was supposed to be at that game too.
Steve picked it up this week. Good job, Steve.
A little upset about that. By the way, 1-0 Hawks right now over the hated Detroit Red Wings. All right, Steve's favorite guy, Bears offensive coordinator Ron Turner. After his offense put 0 points on the board, here is Ron.
You know, turnovers. I mean, turnovers in the first half. We we moved the ball and had some turnovers. In the second half, we just never got anything going. But turnovers, same story all year.
First 2 interceptions, Jake forced those throws.
Yeah, the first one was a tough look. We didn't have. I'd like to have another play called in that situation. Receivers getting inside on a slant, and they were heavy inside on them. So you'd like to be able to recognize that and just not force it and throw it away. Punt the ball. Recognize that we don't have a good look, and that stuff you'll learn.
You said after a couple of times this year that you wish you'd have a different play called or whatever, but at some point, I mean, quarterback in his fourth season should adjust, shouldn't he?
Those mistakes. Well, that's always going to happen. I mean, every call is not going to be perfect. There's a lot of times, you look at it like to have something back, and yeah, that's just part of the process, and learn. When you have a good look and have what you want defensively, then you gotta execute. When you don't, then you got to manage the bad plays.
Somebody would have told you in August that 2 games left to go, Jay would have spent the season leading the league in interceptions. How surprised would you have been?
Very, very. Yeah. So, just can't do it.
I think Jay tried maybe just too hard to get the ball that Roma should do this time. Seemed like some of the bad places.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. We just didn't execute very well. When we had opportunities to make some plays, and we did have some, we didn't make them. And then the turnovers. Can't turn the ball over, and we did.
2 turnovers in the third quarter that just kind of sucked the life out of you. It just made it that much more difficult, it seemed like.
Yeah, we never got anything going. The first quarter, we were moving the ball. We felt confident we could move the ball based on what we did. We turned it over a couple times, but we did move the ball. And then start the second half, just we never got anything going.
All right, there's Ron Turner. Take a look at these stats from the Bears offense. The Bears offense didn't give you the 7 points that came off of special teams, but the second half in particular, you've got a total of 2 first downs and 4 turnovers, 62 total yards. Your thoughts on Ron Turner's game plan today?
I thought initially it was good. I mean, that's a good defense in Baltimore. They came out, ran some no huddle, did some good things early in the ball game, didn't go away from the run game like Jiggs talked about, and he's right about the turnovers. Ron Turner is correct about that. But if you go back and look at that 2-minute drive right before the half, the coaches can be blamed for that drive. Those guys got to know to not run the ball out of bounds and give Baltimore another opportunity to score. The ball game should have been 14-14 at the half, and then the team doesn't come out and tank
let me
in
ask
the
you this,
second half like they did today.
Every one of us, during the course of, you're playing the game, you look at the clock and you understand the situation. Under 2 minutes to go, you don't want to give the ball back to the opposition with time on the clock. So when you catch the football or you're running the football, you know to stay in bounds. Now, that's a situation where, the coach can't come and say, hey, Jimmy, remember now, don't run out of bounds on this thing because you stopped the clock. I mean, that's got to be up here, and that's playing smart.
Well, you would think that, but you would also think that there are players that need to be told certain things. You and I both know that, and we would do that in those situations, but evidently we're not drafting brain surgeons here because some of these guys are clueless about the situation. So the coach has to signal into the quarterback, Jay, if you hand it off to Forte, tell him to stay in bounds, tell him to get on the ground. That's what the situation calls for. Just give out the reminders to the other guys so they don't make the dumb decisions that they made today.
Ron lost me with the 3 plays at the 1-yard line. That to me was, that was his major blunder on the day. On the other side, Alex Brown has some strong comments after this loss. He even apologized on Twitter to his fans. It's all coming up next on US Cellular Bears. Be on Countdown to Kickoff Thursday night right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Here was his tweet just moments ago. I really don't know. We are just not a very good team right now. And it's sad. I'm sorry you have to watch. I know it must be hard. That was just on Twitter in the last few minutes. Here's Alex Brown addressing the media a short time ago.
We came out and played with intensity in the beginning of the year, all year. Not from the first play, so I don't know. Well, I think we go out and we know what to do and we're trying to do it, but when you're not playing with confidence, I mean, you can't. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You don't tackle. When you play a good team, I mean, they kill us. If you go over the season and whenever we played a good team, a team that's in the playoff run, a division leader or something, like we've gotten smoked, and we're just not very good.
Any particular thoughts on the run defense today and what Rice was doing?
No, I mean he had a long run on the reverse, I think, which was a couple missed tackles. But other than that, I mean, I'm not sure. Not sure if he, other than that big run, I'm not sure if he had any other crazy runs. Like I think he had one 10+ run, but we just got to tackle. We're not tackling. We're not playing with confidence with the calls and stuff. And then we're not making plays. We're in that, I think, in that mode where I'm doing my job. Okay, I'm doing my job. Well, do more if that's what we got to do, and we're not doing that.
You'll hear more from Alex later this week on Countdown to Kickoff. Here's our poll question. Who do you blame for the Bears' 5-9 record? Jerry Lovey, Ron Turner, or the players? Go to csnchicago.com, vote away. You'll see Jerry Angelo's entire transcript of the Chicago media before today's game there as well. Who's hot? Who's not? Week 15 of the National Football League. Who's hot? Well, Peyton Manning Thursday night, 4 touchdowns, an interception, nearly unstoppable as the Colts remain undefeated. How about Jerome Harrison? 34 carries, 3 tutties. How about Joshua Cribbs? 2 kick returns for a touchdown. It's Cleveland getting it done. Who's not in Week 15? Well, Mark Sanchez, 3 interceptions, quarterback rating of 49.7. Although we'd take that kind of quarterback rating here in Chicago. Drew Brees, as the Saints fell to the Cowboys, their first loss of the season last night. And Dante Culpepper taking over for Stafford. Just 64 yards and an interception. Somehow the Lions hung in there for a while against the Arizona Cardinals. Let's take a look at the scores from Week 15 of the National Football League. As you take a look at this, 9 of the 12 games today, 9 of the 12 today decided by a touchdown or less. Only 3 weren't. The Eagles-Niners game, of course, the Bears game, and the Tampa Bay game. That tells me there's a lot of teams that are competing, fighting out there, even though they're out of it. You brought up the Atlanta team as an example. Their season ended last night when Dallas won.
Look at the Raiders. They go into Denver and then win that one by a point.
You know, that might be the biggest indictment if you're trying to say to yourself, well, everybody loses a team. Well, if you look around the National Football League this week, there's not a lot of lopsided defeats.
Look at the Steelers, too. As much as they've been suffering over the last 4 or 5 weeks, what do? They take a Packer team and beat them by a point.
You know, by the way, I think the spread was a point in that game. just pointing it out. More U.S. Cellular Bears postgame live after the break. I'm serious. I think Monsters of the Midway is presented by Mike Ditka Wines. Log on to MikeDitka.com to view gift baskets and a large variety of wines. Well, it's time for Monsters of the Midway presented by Mike Ditka Wines, otherwise known as the Bears MVP. It's getting tougher each week, Zoom, but
very tough.
We still need to find
Lance Briggs had 13 tackles, but you know what? I didn't see anybody out there that was really making plays and worthy of being a monster, so I'm giving it to all the inactives today.
Oh, wow.
Ouch. I'm going to go with Lance Briggs, 13 tackles. But how about Jiggs in the green room? Timmy Shaw, he gets the shout out.
That's right.
Look
Timmy Shaw should get the shout out.
So I had to steal Jiggs' guy.
Yeah. But, you know, in reality, I like Timmy Shaw in the effort, but I'm going to go with Lance with the 13 tackles. It's getting to be that time where he's just like automatic for that, it seems.
I'm going with the Duke of Earl Bennett, the 49-yard punt return
Can't you take
to
the coach?
paint.
Take the coach.
You know, I'd love to have some Mike Ditka wine right about now. In fact, Coach, I think the four of us are going to enjoy some Mike Ditka wine on that Monday night game next week. As we
help us, Coach.
I think the line of the day might have been from Brian Billick. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can't really defend it anymore. But when he said Jay Cutler is beginning to look Jeff George-ish. You don't ever want to hear Jeff George-ish.
That's not a good thing.
As long as he's not Boy George.
Hey. Touche.
But right now, the chestnuts are roasting on the open fire. I'll tell you that much.
One quick thing. If you guys had a Pro Bowl vote and you only had one for this team, would it go to Lance?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. He's the only Pro Bowler on this team?
Yep.
That's it, right?
That's it.
Good night, everybody. No, that's it. We're coming back with more Bears Postgame Live. We'll have the results to our U.S. Cellular poll question as we break down who you fault in this very question. Who do you blame most for the Bears' 5-9 record this year? Here's what you had to say. 43% said it is the GM, Jerry Angelo. 33% say Lovey. 15, Ron. 9 going to the players. Guys, Jigs, you agree with that?
Yep, that's about how I would do it.
Starts at the top.
Starts at the top.
All right, well, let's put a bow on this thing. We've got a lot to dissect. Lovey, probably his toughest press conference to date. You kind of feel like the walls are closing in a bit on him. Certainly here, up at Hallis Hall. As they suffer their fourth blowout loss of 20 points or more this season. Lovey, for the first time in his 5+ seasons, now his 6th season here, where he took a little shot at the players, said it's time for the players that are getting paid to go out and make some plays.
That's a fact of life. I mean, that's reality in the NFL. It's, look, whenever you get the opportunity to go out there and perform, you've got to treasure that, because a lot of guys don't get that opportunity and wish that they had. And the guys that are going out there getting paid really well to do a good job. So the bottom line is, it's on you as well as anybody else.
How about Jim Schwartz of the Detroit Lions, their head coach? Last week, Detroit got blown out by the Baltimore Ravens. They took Arizona to the wire today. Right. And he made a lot more disparaging comments about his football team than what Lovey did, and that's rare for Lovey to do that. So I think you're right. The pressure is starting to mount a little bit.
Before the game, Jerry Angelo spoke with the Chicago media. He was asked repeatedly about Lovie Smith's status, and basically the report that surfaced on CSNChicago.com from John Mullen earlier in the week that said, according to 2 sources who are above Jerry Angelo in the organization, that Lovey would be back in 2010. Now, again, that was before this game. Jerry was asked several times about Lovey's status, and the way we saw it, guys, it wasn't a stamp of approval. The guy said, you're going to take it and spin it any way you want, that we're going to evaluate this thing when the season is over. The reporter came back and said, look, you can end any spin right now, any speculation by saying he will be back.
Well, here's the one thing we never thought about. Maybe he's not going to be the one making that decision. And so he can, you can spin it any way you want to. Let's spin it that way. Maybe after all the evaluations are done and everything, and they start to evaluate you, maybe they say, well, look, let us make this decision. And that decision is indeed made above his head.
I honestly can't believe we're here. I mean, I cannot believe it's
hard
just
to
a few
believe
days
after
before.
3 years ago, and then you see where we're at.
I mean, I thought it was Christmas in April when we got Jay Cutler, and now I'm looking at 25 interceptions.
Yeah. Everything has gone wrong.
Talk me off the ledge, Jim.
Put away the knives, all the sharp objects, hide the women and children. Have a good Christmas, all right?
Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Well, next week we got the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
So, have your favorite beverage handy and make sure you flip on over to us as soon as that game goes final. Much more on the Bears' 31-7 loss coming up on Sports Night later tonight at 10 o'clock. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching this edition of U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. For Jerry Azuma, Jim Miller, Dan Jiggets, for Kip Lewis, for John Moon Mullen, I'm Pat Boyle. We'll see you again Monday night after the Bears and Vikings go at it on the lakefront. Merry Christmas, everybody, and to all, a good night.
Get the cards.